There are many, many people still with inadequate shelter, especially in remote villages in the interior of this island. I was out in the field myself last week and met some of these people, and I saw some of the structures that they're living in and sheltering under, and I can tell you they're not going to withstand the rain that we've had in the last 3 days, let alone a cyclone that's coming. So Red Cross is extremely concerned about how these people are going to cope. We are as ready as we can be. We're on standby to take in water purification tablets and water and tarpaulins into these areas as soon as we can get in. But as you've just said, the roads are closed. We don't expect that we'll be able to get access to some of these places until Friday, maybe Saturday.
And that's also the main concern, is because as a direct result of the heavy rain, the flooding situation is making life very difficult to get in and out of places where Red Cross volunteers need to be.
Absolutely. To give you a picture, when I went into the interior of Ra province on Friday last week, we crossed probably about 4 or 5 rivers. And, you know, we had a 4-wheel drive, so that's the level of access. And even half a day's rain can mean that some of these crossings are, you know, covered in water, and it's just too dangerous to attempt to get across. And that's the message that Red Cross is trying to put out to people as well. Please don't attempt to cross rivers, flooded water. We've already had one case. The government's reporting a 70-year-old man has drowned in the floodwaters already, and there is a 19-year-old girl missing. They're still looking for her, presumed drowned already, so people need to stay out of the water if at all possible.
Just finally, Corrine Ambler, there has been a 30-day state of natural disaster there. That has now been extended by about, 30 additional days?
That's right. It soon became obvious that the impacts of Tropical Cyclone Winston were a lot larger than people realised, especially once the government and Red Cross started getting access to some of these remote villages. The scale of the need was a lot larger than originally thought. So that state of emergency currently ends on the 19th of April. And it remains to be seen, I guess, what effect this rain has on that decision to make it the 19th of April. I'm just looking out the window now in Suva, and it's raining pretty heavily. It's been raining here for 3 days, and I think the rain will be heavier up in the north of this island and the west of this island. And we're expecting Tropical Cyclone Zena to hit us here in Suva probably sometime tonight. We've had intermittent power cuts as well here, and just talking to our people in the field just before I came on air, they haven't had power for 3 or 4 days, and some of them are stuck at the office, some of them are stuck at home. There's just no way that anyone can move around at the moment.
I know there are not many positives to this story, Kareem, but what I do know, and it's nice to hear, and I get all your updates on the various Facebook pages that the Red Cross does have, but the Red Cross movement in Fiji is very much well prepared to respond to these types of disasters. I mean, you've got, more than 300 staff and volunteers, and it's nice to see just how actively engaged and hard-working they are on the ground.
Oh, look, you're absolutely right. We're really, really lucky with our volunteer pool that we have. You know, there are more than 300 of them. There are almost 200 of them that are active at the moment in the response to Tropical Cyclone Winston. They're all really well trained. I mean, thank goodness, that we run regular trainings here, and they all know what to do in an emergency like this. And I guess the main problem for them at the moment is they're sitting there, itching to get out there to help people, but they can't move, and I guess that's quite frustrating for them. But as soon as we can get out and help people, we will be. We're just urging people to make sure they look after their health, boil all their drinking water and that kind of thing, and practice good hygiene, just so that the risk of waterborne diseases is minimised.